This is the Bunny Slippers Are Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show. And now, a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the job search alternative to expensive outplacement. For more information, go to bunnyslippersareevil.com. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you and make your resume available 24/7 and get a free professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you are thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long, complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies, person tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private lesson with Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Today is Saturday, June 3rd, 2017, and this is the Bunny Slippers Are Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. and you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersareevil.com. There you also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you're listening live, you can call in or write your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. Or write your questions here or here, depending on how you got your screen oriented. Well, everybody, thank you for getting up this early in the morning. As you can probably see, I finally figured out how to flip the video, so I'm not always backwards. But thank you again for everybody, for anybody tuning in this morning. I'm on vacation. That's really what's going on. And today's show is about job titles, and it's appropriate, I think, that I'm down here in Orlando, a few miles from the greatest place on earth, Disney World. And good morning, Kevin. How you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in, man, early this morning. But anyway, you can tell today's Star Wars Day, so I'm going to the parks and I'm going to do all my Star Wars stuff. But anyway, today's topic is what's in a job title. And interesting, I looked up some facts, first of all. I looked up some statistics on job titles and the study of job titles. Now, why are job titles important? Think about this. Think about you go to a cookout. You go to a family gathering, any kind of family reunion, whatever you go to. You meet a lot of people that you don't know. And, you talk to them, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. What are your interests? You just have general conversation. And there's always one question eventually that you get around to. And that question is, so what do you do? Now, what's interesting about that is that most people, studies have shown that most people are not happy in their jobs. But at the same time, whenever we ask that question, so what do you do? We get an image of that person based on their job title or where they work. Okay? It's like, I'm somebody says I'm a biochemist. And our assumption is kind of like, okay, well, this person went to school and they studied and they did da-da-da-da-da to become a biochemist. But then again, most people aren't happy with their job. So it's like, well, was this your goal in life or did you just end here? And I think a lot of us, let's be honest, we're in jobs, we may like them or not, but we ended up there. There was a variety of steps going through, but we ended up in this job. But we still, when we talk to other people, we get this image of them based on their job title. It's just interesting to me that we all do that. We say, so what do you do? If somebody says I'm a barista at Starbucks. Sorry, long night. We get a certain image of them. We get another image if they say I'm a CEO of a company, whatever. But anyway, I was looking at this. There was a study done by Pearl Meyer and Partners, and they said 80% of companies use titles to reflect the hierarchy. Okay, what are those other 20% doing? I don't know. But they said 90% of companies use titles to define the roles. And they said only 37% use titles to attract people. So now you're a job searcher. Again, 37% of companies use titles to attract people. Looks like there's a real big disconnect in there. Okay, if you're a job seeker, let's be honest. You're looking at a few things. The first things that catch your eye: what's the job title and what's the salary? Let's just keep it real. That's how it is. Then you start going into other stuff, and we'll talk about that stuff. But we are still at that point where a job title is very important. Not even just corporate America. Think about if you're in a ministry. Kevin, I thought about this one for you. Church. Your whatever your house of worship, if you attend one. There's senior pastor, junior pastor, associate pastor. All these different. Going to go men's ministry breakfast now. I'll be watching with my son Drew. He needs to hear this now. Graduate college, now seeking his career. Yep, Kevin. Kevin, hit me up on LinkedIn and see what I can do to help you. I said it to anybody. Hit me up on LinkedIn and I can see how I can help you. Okay. Good luck with the men's ministry breakfast. We got to talk about that because my church does one too. We need to connect, get our churches together. But anyway, So I'm sorry. That was a part-time commercial for my buddy Kevin. But anyway, like I said, companies don't use the job titles to attract people, but those job titles are what we're looking at when we're looking at a job, which is there's a big disconnect there because we're thinking one thing and they're thinking something else. So if you're a job seeker, like I said, let's be honest. If you're a job seeker, you look at the job title. Plain and simple. That's the first thing you look at, the job title. What is it? It reminds me, and this is a story. I always have stories. But way back when I first graduated college, I was up in Connecticut, and I met a young lady. And we actually went out on a date. We went out on one date and just got together. I think we met each other at a happy hour or something. We got together. And she was, I was like 23, 24 years old. And she was an AVP of some Wall Street firm. And she was like my age. She was like 24. And she was an AVP in some Wall Street firm. And I remember it blew my mind. I'm like, what in the world is this child come out of school doing? What is going on? How did she pull this off? And I'm like, it wasn't just that she was a woman. It was like, this is a 24-year-old and she's an AVP. And, years later, a few years later, we dated, the job title had nothing to do with it. It always stuck with me. But years later, I found out what happens on Wall Street. What used to happen on Wall Street is everybody who came in, first job, they recruited you out of college back when they used to do the cold calling and things like that. They made you an AVP, assistant vice president. It's like, why would they? Because if you are a client and you have someone calling on you, to service your account, and they say, I'm an assistant vice president, you get a certain impression in your head. You get a certain image of that company in your head about how important the company thinks you are. So to put it shortly, it's a mind game. I used to be in sales compensation. I used to be in sales, but another company. But I used to be in sales compensation, where I kept track of sales and so on. And it was interesting. We had account executives. Now let's think about that title. Just that title, account executive. An account executive comes to your business, your place of business, to sell you stuff. An account executive. What are you initially thinking? Oh, I am very important to this company because they have an executive on my account, not an account rep, an account executive. Okay, it's a game. And you know, I'm not bashing anybody who is an account executive. I'm just saying, the titles that we put, that people have, are meant not to show what, you know, looking at the studies, not to define roles. 90% to define roles, 80% to reflect hierarchy, and 100% to give potential customers an image of what that company, how that company feels about them. Okay, think about that. I mean, you know, any titles, sheriff, whatever. It's not the person that you're interacting with; it's the title. You know, chief creativity officer. You know, Google and some of these companies in the last couple of years have come up with these really creative titles. But my point is, and I'm rambling, I apologize, it's particularly with account executive, there's a certain image they want to convey. Now, let's be clear, that account executive may have not much more power than an account rep. There can be an account executive, there can be a junior account executive, there can be a senior account executive. And the connotation we have in our mind is, well, we have an executive, we have the number 6 guy at the company on our account, where he might be the number 12 guy in the office, but he's got that title, account executive. Okay, so titles, I guess my point is, you really can't, there's a lot of bait and switch these days. Jobs are recruiting, making positions very attractive. By the time then you get, oh yes, Kevin, oh yes. Bait and switch is crazy. And I'm gonna try to, thank you for pointing that out. The companies will do bait and switch on job titles, okay? I don't want to sound like I'm minimizing anybody's title, anything you do. But remember, when I started working, we had secretaries. Unfortunately, the secretaries were usually female because somebody decided that that's a role for females. And all the office secretaries were, or most of them were females. Now we have admin assistants. It's job titles are playing on your ego. In general, I mean, I'm not trying to call any company out, but job titles are you know, think about it. Job title is meant to tell, okay, what does this person do? That's all the job title is really supposed to say. Here's what this person does. But job titles, a lot of times, they're made to play on your egos. To you know, I'm not a custodian. I'm a sanitation engineer. We went through that about 20 years ago, where everybody's title just blew up into crazy stuff, and you had to like reverse engineer the title to figure out what the heck this person actually was doing. Okay, and now, you know, this again, job titles are playing on egos. So now, if you're a job seeker, here's where it gets interesting, because you will see a title and you go, oh, that's interesting, but that sounds like it's got a lot of power, or it sounds like it pays a lot of money. And sometimes they do neither. Sometimes you'll get a job title that sounds like you are third in line to the presidency of the company and all this, and no, you're not. You're 285th in line for the manager of the office. That's just it. So if you're a job seeker, and I keep trying to get back to that, I'm sorry, I keep rambling. If you're a job seeker, what can you do? There's a couple of things. You know, first thing, okay, when you see a job title that interests you, because like I said, number one, you look at the job title. Number two, you look at what it pays, and you try to match the two things together. You try to match. Is this job title? Oh, this job title sounds important. They're paying some good money for this one. Maybe not. Or, you know, there are jobs that don't sound important, or you know, the job sounds important. They're paying some good money. I got some power. Particularly when you're a C-level executive, you're one of those. You used to be on the top floor. You truly were 3 or 4 steps away from the presidency, and you're out looking for a job. You're looking for jobs in that range, you know, with those types of titles. You know, this is funny in job search, and I just thought about this. In job search, I've met people who on their resumes, you know, they will say, you know, they're looking for these titles. Think about that. They're looking for these titles. You know, titles change at every company, but, you know, I want to be a director. A director at company A and a director at company B can truly be two totally different levels. You know, associate director, director, AVP, VP, EVP, SEVP. I mean, you know, but going back to that one woman I told you I dated a while ago, and I only dated one time. She was a really nice person. She was an AVP at 24 on a Wall Street firm. But everybody on that floor was an AVP. Okay, everybody. There were 287 AVPs at this one office out of like 300 employees. Think about that. 287 were AVPs. Okay? But when she showed her card, bam! You know, when she was able to give that card out to people, me especially, I was like, yo, you know. But it's playing on your ego. Just understand that the job titles often will play on your egos and try to do it. So if you're in job search, and I keep rambling, I do apologize. You know me. If you are looking at a job, first of all, understand what you're looking for. Minister Lackey, we'll talk about that real quick. One thing about changing your resume. This is my personal opinion. I'm sorry, people, but I got a live comment, and I want to make sure I address it. You're right. I've known people who have changed their resume and changed it based on the keywords in a job description. The challenge there, and I tried it myself once. The challenge is then you have multiple versions of your resume, and boy, when you got multiple versions of your resume that you've submitted, you got to remember who you sent what. So that's the thing. I mean, I tried it for a day, and I give up easy. And I had about 3 or 4 resumes, and I was like, okay, I started numbering them. And I'm like, okay, what number is this one? What number is that one? Okay, boom, boom, boom. But anyway, so that's when you start trying to manage your resume based on the job that you're looking for. That's something you always got to be aware of, because you don't want different versions of it that you got to still remember who you know. I don't say it's kind of like when you tell a lie, and I'm not saying your resume is a lie, but if you tell different people different stories, you got to make sure who you told what to. And I'm lazy. I ain't got time to remember, That's why I don't lie. Ding! Sorry. You see this halo around my head. Yeah, I did that on purpose with the fan. But anyway, but no, Mr. Lackey, we can talk about that another time. That's a good point. But anyway, so job titles. If you're looking for a job, the first thing you do is identify what it is that you want to do. What type of activities on the job that you like to do, and more importantly, you do well. Now, I like to sit on, and you can get paid for. I like to sit on the couch with the remote. I do it very well. I mean, there's nobody better. Can't get paid for that. So, okay. But there are things on the job, like me personally, I'm good at Excel. I'm good with numbers. I'm good at reading numbers, reading spreadsheets, reading reports, and doing the analysis. I'm just good at that because I've been doing it for years. Okay. I've just been doing it for a long time. So that's one thing that I know feel comfortable saying I'm good at. So if I'm looking for a job, if I'm looking at opportunities, I'm kind of looking at the title. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at if I can find what the job pays, because a lot of times they won't tell you. But that other point is I'm looking at what are the skills and responsibilities. Now, here's the problem with that. Usually on a job description, the skills and responsibilities that are written, HR wrote them. Hey, Sandy. HR writes the job descriptions. With all due respect to HR, they don't have a clue a lot of times what a hiring manager is looking for. They don't have a clue. And it's not that they're stupid, it's just that they're HR. They have to worry about the whole company. This particular hiring manager wants this particular job filled. So HR will wordsmith it and make sure that it's legal, that he can't say, look, I want somebody who, ain't gonna pick the nose, So the job descriptions often mislead you. So think about that. The job title could be misleading. The job description might be misleading. They don't tell you oftentimes what they're paying. A lot of jobs won't put out there, well, we're paying this range. Why is that? Real quick on that one. If a job said they're paying $80,000 to $100,000, and they just put it out there. They know when they get into, if they hire a candidate and they get into negotiations, that candidate is always already saying, I want $100,000. Okay, that's why they leave themselves a range. You know, it's a whole big thing about, you know, the range of a job. When you're in a job, where you are in the range will determine your raise and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, like I said, those three things they won't tell you. They won't tell you the job. They could mislead you about the title. They could mislead you about the responsibilities, and they will be very vague about the salary range. Okay, so what do you do? You're walking into this trying to get a job. So let's go back to the old standard. What do I always say? First of all, if you're looking for a job, people don't hire resumes, they hire people. So the first thing you have to do is get in front of somebody, or get them on the phone, or get them an email, get a live human, because the computers will mess you over. There was an old line from one of the Lethal Weapon movies where Joe Pesci was talking about what they do to you at the drive-thru. Some of y'all remember that movie. I'm not going to say the line because this is a family show. But yeah, that's what they do. Just look up Lethal Weapon, Joe Pesci, drive-thru. Why you don't go through the drive-thru. But you want to get into in front of a live person. You want to get in front of a person. You want to connect with a person, because people don't hire resumes, they hire people. You want to hopefully get in touch with the job manager, the hiring manager. Now, once you get in touch with that person, here's what you got to do. Here's my suggestion of what you should be doing, or what you should try to do. You get in front of the hiring manager, you get them on the phone or whatever, and you say, hey, you know, I saw this job that you had posted. It's very interesting, but I'd like to know some more information about it. Can we meet for coffee, or can we meet for lunch? I'll pay. I just want to pick your head, see what it is you're really looking for. What you're basically saying is, I don't believe the job description. You're the hiring manager. You know what you want. Let me come to you and find out what this job is. Okay? Now, is that an interview? No. Is that an interview? Yes. Okay? I use that tactic many times. I worked for another company a long time, and whenever I wanted to move from one position to another within the company, I would reach out to whoever the hiring manager was and just say, hey, can we get 15 minutes to talk? I saw this position. I want to get your take on what it is you're looking for. Because basically what I'm saying is, again, I don't believe the job description. I want you to tell me what you're looking for. And you will be surprised how many job hiring managers will go, yeah, please come. I will tell you exactly what I'm looking for. Now, this is an informational interview. It's not really an interview. It's just a conversation. Okay. And that's what you look at it as. It's a conversation. But I mean, you don't show up in a suit, because that's, obvious, that's, it's like showing up with lipstick and knee pads on. You don't do that. But, particularly for somebody in your company, you just meet them in a conference room for 10, 15 minutes. If it's somebody in a company you're trying to get into, you say, hey, I know you go to work at this time. Can we meet for coffee one morning? Give 15 minutes of your time. Now, it's very important. If they say yes and say, we'll meet at Starbucks, be there 5 minutes early, at least. Be there before they get there. When they get there, you already be there. Buy them coffee. Buy them coffee. Okay. Second thing, and that's the third thing, is if you ask them for 15 minutes, at 15 minutes, stop. Say, thank you for your time. I only wanted 15 minutes of your time. The time is up. I don't want to keep you. If they say, oh no, I'm good, let's talk some more, bing, you're in. Okay, I'm not saying you got a job, but you piqued their interest. Job search is like dating. Okay, fellas, when that lady says, oh yeah, and what do you do? Bam, you're in there, But anyway, seriously, have that conversation. Try to get the conversation and just say, I saw the job title. What is it you're looking for? What is it? What kind of responsibilities? What kind of duties? What is it that you are looking for? And they'll say, well, I'm glad you asked that. And they will tell you, just like in an interview, if you have a regular interview with this person, and we've talked about that. We'll talk about it again. But if in the interview, the last thing I want personally is this hiring manager going through my resume. And, oh, tell me about this job. 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 I don't want that. I'd rather have the conversation led by them telling me the three or four things that they find important in this job. Okay, that they need done. You know, I know the job says this, but here's what we really want. And then you write it down, you know. Have the informational interview. That's the way you do it. That's one way to do it. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert, but this is what I suggest you do. So you have that informational interview and you find out what they really want in that position, what they're looking for. And if you have time left, you don't try not to go over your 15 minutes, because the worst thing in the world, and I'm saying this as an interviewer, as an interviewee, and as somebody who's done public speaking, if somebody tells you you got 20 minutes or you got 15 minutes, don't go for an hour because you got something you feel they really need to hear. Because I'm telling you now, they will shut you off. They will mentally turn off the hearing aid and they'll be going, this person don't care about my time. Okay, respect their time. If the conversation is going that great and you both agree and they say, but I don't have the time to talk, say, well, can we meet again? Can I meet you? Can I reach out to you in a couple of days, or maybe go to lunch where we may have a little more time to talk about this? Okay, I can't tell you. Me personally, that was a very successful tactic, and I've told the story. I actually had a job description that me and a senior executive, and this was a real senior executive, sat at a diner. And we met about 2 or 3 times at a diner and wrote out the job description for the job they were hiring me into. He and I put it together ourselves. Okay, and as soon as the job was posted, I got a call. Yo, go apply for the job. Click, boom. Have the conversation. But what you're doing by that conversation, you're getting past the title. You're getting past what HR says they have to put in the job description. You're getting to, here is what this hiring manager is looking for. That is the most important thing. What is it that this hiring manager is looking for? What is it that they need? That is your objective, is to find out what his or her and the company's true need is. Regardless of the title, regardless of what they say in public, in what they post on the job boards, what is it they need? What is the need, the gap they need to have filled? Sometimes you don't know that gap. You may get hired and then you find out there's another gap that they have that they didn't even know about. Fill it. If you have the background, fill it. I've said this. At the end of the day, you as an employee, you have one job: to make your boss look good. We can sugarcoat it, we can sweet talk it. At the end of the day, it comes down to that. Your job is to make sure that you present your department, your team, your organization in the best light possible, because you represent that company. You represent that team, regardless of your title. You represent that team. Don't ever forget that. That is number one. Your job is to make your boss look good, regardless of what they put in the job descriptions, regardless of what your title is. Your job is to make your boss look good. And don't you ever forget that. Okay, titles aside. So anyway, when you're looking at a job, when you're looking at an opportunity, the title sounds great. I've known people who had a title and they look for that same title at other companies, and they're making the assumption that that level, that title means the same thing at every company. It doesn't. It doesn't. It does not mean the same thing. Yeah, granted, head of HR, probably you're not the guy cleaning up the parking lot. But for the most part, don't rely on titles to be consistent across organizations. Don't rely on titles to always dictate what job responsibilities are. Don't rely on titles to always dictate what job the salary is. Last thing before I go, and I meant to say this earlier, one thing I'm down here in the greatest place in the world, because Disney They don't call their employees employees. They're all cast members, okay, because this is a show. They're all cast members. Does that mean they get paid more? Probably not. I'm a Disney cast member, okay? So what do? Oh, I'm a greeter on the River Safari ride, or I'm the guy that goes like this when Toy Story Mania is about to go to make sure that everybody's locked and loaded. I'm the guy who's walking around picking up trash. I'm the person who works at the popcorn venue. But they're all cast members. Okay? So anyway, job titles, you just gotta be careful. Everybody, I was surprised how many people I had tuned in at 8 o'clock this morning. I'm very appreciative. There's a lot of people on Facebook at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. But I thank you all. I thank you all for your time. I thank you all for tuning in. With that, I'm gonna end this show. It'll be available now. This is a podcast, so you can download it from iTunes. The Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seeker Show, and so is the Secret Math of Money. They're both in iTunes. Feel free to download them. If you miss the video, download them. Love them, hate them. Write a review. It'll help other people find the show. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for your time and patience this morning. As always, have a very blessed day, and I will talk to you again very soon. Take care, y'all.